tonight. A drug used to reverse opioid overdoses could soon be sold over the counter. A committee of advisors to the Food and Drug Administration this week voted unanimously in favor of making Narcan available without a prescription. Channel 2's Dave McKinley spoke with both a pharmacist and a group that's charged with stemming the tide of the opioid overdoses about what this could mean for us.
I think it's a good idea. You know, anytime you can increase access to these life-saving meds, it's important.
But in truth, Narcan has already been available without a prescription in New York due to a standing order issued by the state several months ago,
Which basically empowered pharmacies and pharmacists like mine to, when appropriate, dispense the medication or this device.
So what, if anything, would change?
First of all, folks that don't have insurance will now be able to purchase it over the counter when it's finally brought to market, which they're saying maybe 1 to 2 months. And then secondly, it's likely to be less expensive per unit once it gets over the counter.
What currently goes for $60 to $65 without insurance, he figures, may drop to $35 to $40 instead. Meanwhile, the Erie County Health Department's opiate task force continues to distribute Narcan for free, increasingly through these Narcan stands, of which they have 20 in various locations.
There's Narcan, there's test strips, there's sharps containers to get rid of old sharps, all kinds of things that we have that we offer to folks.
And they too believe the FDA is on the right track here.
If you live, say, in Colden, we're not real convenient here. You know, this is a drive, but you could come here and get Narcan today, absolutely. But this would be, you could go to your neighborhood drugstore and break down another barrier.
Because Narcan may only be as effective as the person trying to use it to save someone.
What I would caution people is there's a big education component to this.
Because while we may think that because we don't associate with drug users who might overdose, we'd have no need for this.
That's not the case. I have long-standing patients who have been using chronic opioids for many, many years for legitimate issues, back issues or what have you. They're as likely to need Narcan as any other individual.
As we get older, our bodies change. Sure. Other things happen to it. There may be other medications that are ordered that provide a synergistic effect too that we're not really aware of. Also, as we get older, you know, our metabolism slows down. It's part of aging. If you continue to take same dosing, the potential for taking too much is there.
You know, usually what happens is a respiratory event that forces people into overdose. So if you have other respiratory issues going on, you know, you could be at risk.
Other reasons to have it in your home, critical. We all have little children. They may come to visit us. They may live with us. Perhaps they're in a home where someone is taking an opioid for pain management that's not used to having little ones around, and they get into medication. This is a first aid tool, and that's how we need to look at it, and everyone should have it in their first aid kit at home.
They made excellent points there on why everybody should have this. And
Right.
what stuck out to me in watching the story, Dave, she said, yeah, you can come from Colden into Buffalo and get some of these for
Right.
free. But we know the opioid overdose epidemic isn't in just urban areas. In many cases, it's worse in rural areas. So you want to be able to go to that local pharmacy.
And of course, other reasons. If you don't use drugs yourself, you say, I don't mix with people who do. Still, there's some points were made there that there are other reasons that someone might overdose on opioid medication. I gift you one for each nostril.
Ah,
There you are.
it's so important to have these around, right?
That's what they're saying. They're saying
That's
it
right.
should be as ubiquitous in your first aid kit at home as Band-Aids.
Wow.
If you want to look at it that way. And of course, the education component that he was talking about in there was, this is only as good as you're able to use it. And you could read the directions and put it in your pocket or put it in your medicine chest. And then if you needed to administer it to someone in a second's notice, would you remember exactly what to do here? And if they overpackage these like they overpackage everything else.
Where YouTube is your friend.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're good explainers. We'll continue to follow, make sure the FDA actually goes through with this. Dave, thank you.
All right.